Hi everybody, welcome to TiltTrek. This time, we are in Old Town Wichita, in Kansas of all places. And we're getting ready to head into the arcade, where the game is never over. Come on with me.
We are coming in through the front entrance area. We get to travel down the Mortal Kombat Hall of Fame. We come down Arcade Row. All sorts of games to play from and to choose from. And there, of course, is what we all came for. And that is play a little pinball. But look at that. There are actual cameras up there that are shooting the playfield to show us what's happening on the playfield. And that goes that way for every game. And they have a ton of games. So here we are just walking down the line. That's a lot of pinball with these extremely cool monitors to show us what's going on.
Hi, Glenn Hoffman.
Michael Jensen, nice to meet you.
Michael Jensen. So, Jensen, correct?
Yes.
Make sure I get it right. All right.
Like the car audio.
Like the car audio, all right. Michael, I got this. So
Okay.
This is awesome. So Michael, nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
And so we're here in Wichita, and we are here at the arcade.
Yes.
And so this is Old Town Wichita.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
This is really where Wichita started. This is the heart of the town. So if you go back to the early days of the city, everything started here and then kind of branched out. So this is the old town. There's no new town. It's just old town.
So how did we end up with such an amazing arcade? Because I'm in a place that's called the arcade, which is really convenient.
Well,
how did we end up with such a cool place in an old part of the city?
Well, we called it the arcade just to make it easier to say, hey, let's go to the arcade. We're going to the arcade. Let's go to the arcade as opposed to Jim's Ballerama arcade or something. Just to make it easier. That's why it's monikered the arcade, just for ease.
I love it. Honestly, it does make it very easy. When they were like, where do you want to go? I'm like, the arcade?
And there's no confusion as to what it is.
Right.
So back in the fall of 2017, my partner Derek got a hold of me and said that he had 50 some odd games in his basement. I had 50 some odd games in my basement. We were both collectors, but I got a lot more enjoyment out of the restoration and the repair aspect than the gameplay aspect. So I would spend time and effort and do all these restorations and all these repairs and throw the games in the basement, and they just tended to sit there and collect dust. The only time they ever got turned on is when people would come over or, hey, I want to have the itch to play Mortal Kombat or something. But for the most part, they would just sit there and collect dust. And kind of the same thing for Derek. His collection only really got turned on when people came over. But I wanted to kind of capture my childhood and have all of that stuff at the ready in the basement if I wanted to go back to it and relive some. Because I was born in '79. So I grew up in the arcade at Showbiz Pizza Place.
Sure.
Yeah, Showbiz Pizza Place. I go to Golf Park, which is a local thing here in Wichita, which is now All Star Sports. But I grew up playing these games, and I always said to myself as a kid, when I grow up, I'm gonna have this game. I'm gonna get this game and have it at the house. So eventually, as time goes on, and I get a little bit older, and I have more disposable income, I have no wife or kids I know of. So it's just me. So now that when I got older, had more disposable income, I started collecting these games and doing the restorations and monitor repairs and PCB repairs and artwork and all the stuff, you name it. And then they would go in the basement and just collect dust. So I called Derek one day and said, I'm selling a lot of my machines because I need to make some space. I don't play them. Are you interested? And he said, no, I have a lot of my machines just sit there and collect dust as well. And I might sell out of my stuff and just keep a few games. And then a light bulb went off in his head, and he said, well, why don't we just see if we can, before we sell everything, since we have 100 machines,
Right.
let's see if we can just make an arcade with it. So I said, okay, I have no aversion to that. So we chose downtown as a centrally located area, plus because of the attraction of everything from down here in Old Town. And we've been going strong. December 15th of 17, we opened up. We had a line out the door and down the block for all day.
Really?
Yeah. And then there was, for the first year or so, every weekend we would have to turn people away and say, we were hitting capacity every weekend for a year, over almost 2 years, we hit capacity every weekend. And so you guys can't come in until these people leave, and that's how it was for a long time. And then COVID hit, and everything went down. However, I am proud to say that through the entire instance of the COVID, we never got into the red ever.
That's brilliant.
Although I will say that we didn't make much of a profit at all. I think 1 month I went home with $65 in the pocket. But we never went into the red because we own everything. So the only out-of-pocket expense for us for the business is the rent, utilities, and payroll and insurance. But for the most part, we don't lease anything. Everything we own.
Well, this is a cool building too. I mean, I know you say you leased this building, but
well, we lease just this floor.
Just this floor.
The second and third floor are apartments.
Really? Because this is a cool building. How old is this building?
1905.
1905.
It's over 100 and some odd years. This used to be a silo, a grain silo for. There's actually this over here to your right and my left. This black enclosed thing here used to be the giant elevator. Like a dumbwaiter type of situation.
Okay.
And the basement still has the remnants of it, and it would go all the way up to the top, all the way down to the bottom. This was a storage facility, all the 4 floors? I think it's 4 floors. It used to be just a big storage facility.
So what right now would you say of all your pinball machines, what is the hot one? What is the one that you see then people playing the most of all your machines back there?
Well, it's different because it's always changing and evolving.
Okay.
If I had to guess, I'd say maybe Guardians or Stranger Things, because of the hype around that intellectual property. In Batman '66, I had my Star Wars premium, I sold it, and we brought in, I think, Guardians. But at the time, Star Wars was the number one because of the IP and the theme of it. But as you go down, you start with the Sterns, and as you go down, you get the Williams games, and then you get the Data East games, Back to the Future. Back to the Future is big because of, again, the theme of it, and the environment in the 80s, and the things we have going on in here. But I don't know if I could pick a top earner, because it changes from week to week.
Well, because I know you're a flat fee to come in here, but that's not including the pinball machines, and then pinballs is a coin drop,
Pinball's
correct?
50 cents for the cost of maintenance and the general wear and tear. If pinball machines were free play, it would be a nightmare. You'd have, even when they're 50 cents, you wouldn't believe how many people don't know how to play pinball. I'll see people put 50 cents in and then just stand there and wait for the ball to come out, not knowing what to do. So I'll go over and say, hey, they press the start button, and I tell them, pull the handle. They pull the handle and just watch it drain. They don't know where flippers are. And then you have the kids that walk up to it, put their 50 cents in and press start, and they just flip, 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 and they don't wait for the ball to come down. They're not watching where the ball is. They're just watching the flippers go flip, 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 flip. So free play and pinball do not mix well at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's pinball is not free play because we don't want to have to fix games constantly. That's part of it. That's what anybody would really not want to have to do. But because of the cost of maintenance, even when they're 50 cents a piece, replacing flipper bats and replacing rubber kits and replacing coils, and when driver boards go out, or just it's to cover the cost of maintenance. The pinball machines are.
Well, 50 cents is a bargain.
It is.
We'll just establish that right off the bat.
Well, we have people complaining about 50 cents. But the arcade machines, for the most part, will stay working for their general maintenance free. If you rebuild the monitor, get it working solid, and you've got a good power supply, and replace all your controls, in theory, they should live a good long life. But the pinball machines are nothing but mechanical moving parts. So they require literal daily maintenance. If I have to come in every Thursday before the pinball players do their tournaments in their league. And
Because you do a tournament here every Thursday.
recently, yes.
Okay.
And I come in every Thursday beforehand and make sure the machines are clean. Make sure I go through it and make sure there's no technician errors, technician alerts. Make sure there's no credit dots, and anything that can be fixed, I fix. But every so often, in the middle of a tournament, there'll be a wire that comes off a coil. I have to solder that back on, or a fuse that goes out for like Back to the Future.
Gotcha.
So for the most part, they always need some type of repair every day, at least one of them. But they're not usually that technical of a repair. The arcade machines, for the most part, will stay working without any headache. I mean, I've gone months at a time without having to fix anything. But the pinball machines are almost a daily occurrence where I have to fix something.
And it also shows when you have those cameras on every single play field. Now, how did you come up with that idea? Because that's just really cool.
If you watch any of the big, highfalutin profile Stern tournaments, they've got the elaborate, apparatus that goes over the whole machine and aims down, and with the TV behind. So if you're spectating, you can see how someone's performing. Electrical conduit that we attach to the ceiling, and each camera has a tripod clamp attached to it, and we angle it down right on the playfield.
So what kind of cameras are you using?
They're just cheap Sony hand camcorders off Amazon.
Really?
Refurbished for like $35 a piece. And they've been on 24/7 for 4.5 years, and we haven't lost a screen, we haven't lost a camera. They've been running solid 4.5 years without a problem.
So you have
if they ever turn off, they probably won't turn back on, but they're running right now.
I appreciate it more than you know.
You're welcome.
I really do. Thank you for everything that you do for pinball. Thanks for letting us make it to Old Town and to the arcade, because this place it's classically magical, and we are sure glad that people like you are keeping everything running so we can turn on these generations and the next generations onto what we all love, and that is pinball.
Well, I'd like to teach somebody how to repair these machines, take a little bit of the pressure off, but it's a very unique trade, and you have to kind of know what you're doing.
Maybe there's our next niche. We've seen lessons on how to brew beer. Maybe we just need to start running some how to repair pinball machines, and we'll be in great shape. Maybe that'll be our next series.
I have a YouTube channel where I do arcade monitor repairs and teach you how to diagnose, troubleshoot, and repair arcade monitors.
Okay.
But I don't have anything for pinball because I don't have any time or way or ability to shoot anything here.
Wow.
So I have a test bench at home. I do all the arcade monitors stuff on.
Gotcha.
And the board repairs and stuff.
Well, plug yourself then right now while you got a chance. Do your plug. What is your channel that talks about the monitors?
Mike's Amateur Arcade Monitor Repair.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
I say amateur in case you do something and you blow yourself up. It's not my fault.
Because you're an amateur.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Glenn Hoffman.
Sam Swain, nice to meet you.
Sam, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
We are here at the arcade, and from what I understand, you are the pinball guy of Wichita?
For the most part, when it comes to especially tournament playing, I am the guy. I run all the events here in Wichita, and this is the main place that we play at.
So is Wichita a hotbed for tournament play? I mean, are you an IFPA player, or tell me a little bit about Wichita tournament play?
Right now, we run one main tournament a month, and we also run an event every Thursday evening, which is also an IFPA ranked event. We typically have anywhere between 25 and 30 players that come out on a normal Thursday. Saturdays, up in the air, it's been between 16 and 35 as much as. So not a huge amount of players in comparison to some other larger cities, but we do have a very, very good base of players and a good operation going on here, and the arcade is the main place that we are playing at.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I love getting a chance to play with people who are the person in their area. And since you are our tournament guy, why don't we play a little bit of Back to the Future? I mean, Back to the Future, there's all sorts of talk about whether or not Back to the Future will be ever remade.
Yeah.
But we've got a great example of this sitting right here, a fun Data East game. Why don't you put in 2 players and let's play a little game and have a little conversation about Sam
right.
and Wichita and pinball.
When I grew up, my dad always had played pinball, and we had pinball in Hutchinson at the Burger King, and
is Hutchinson in Kansas?
yes, it's
Okay.
about 50 miles just north and west of here.
Gotcha.
So,
All right, so we were at the Burger King
Yep.
playing pinball.
we had Terminator 2, and we had the Addams Family at the Burger King in Hutchinson. That was when I was much younger.
That's a great little lineup, though. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting up there and
Absolutely.
being able to get myself a Whopper and a.
Yeah.
And so it's funny now that you are an IFPA player, because now you chase after Whoppers anyway. So it just seems like that kind of brings it all back together.
Yep, absolutely.
So what is it about the arcade that you like about this place? What is it? I mean, I know one of the things that I am excited about is watching these monitors that exist above every game. I mean,
If
the
I'm
idea.
just, standing here watching you, especially in tournament play and other styles of play, if you're trying to learn something about a game, I can actually stand back and watch you play without having to actually be right over your shoulder. It allows the player to have more breathability, more room, so we're not, crowding each other, crowding people in the building. It's just a great feeling and great environment for everybody.
Well, it's the first time I've ever seen it on every single game, and I find it to be exactly what you were describing. It's like the idea that we don't have to be standing right on top of each other, because on one hand, we've heard before on previous interviews that some of the guys who have gotten really good by watching other people play.
Absolutely, and that's the great thing about the monitors is you can watch the other players' flipper skills. You can watch the other players where they're shooting the shots, what the ball is actually bouncing on, to see a feed that comes out of the pop there,
Like that one.
and to see how it comes out. So if you need to make a little bit of a change, if you need to shake the game a little bit as it comes out of there, so it'll come out just a little bit differently. That is the one of the big keys that we have that assists very much in the learning process. And with the new players that we've picked up over the last couple of years, they have caught on very quickly.
I bet.
So-
I bet. I mean, what an amazing feature. I mean, literally, you can stand back a little bit and then catch 3 guys, or 3 games happening at the same time,
Yep.
and just looking on up and going, boy, okay, I can see how they're doing this and so on. So that's very exciting.
Absolutely.
So now we're playing a Data East game, but you're a pretty young guy. I mean, how do you feel about playing what I would consider more of a classic game? Is this your sweet spot, or what is the type of game that makes Sam the most excited? If he sees this in a tournament, he goes, "Ha ha! I'm ready for that style of game."
Style of game, I'm actually significantly better at the older games, the solid state era games, the early 80s through the early 90s even, and it's a big change to come into a place that has a lot more modern style games, because it's not exactly, there's a lot more rules and a lot more depth in the newer games, which is awesome. I mean, it's great because you don't get bored doing the same thing over and over and over. The older games are very much so pick your shot and outscore the other guy.
Right.
And that's the solid state era games, and even the electromechanical games are fantastic tools to really learn where shots are at on the flippers, learn how to play better.
So as a tournament director, since that is your big claim to fame and stuff like that out here, what do you think is easier to have in your tournaments and stuff like that? I mean, what do you do to your games? I know we've played in places where the tilts are set super hard, or I've seen people modify games or remove posts. I mean, what are the games that you think are the best for a tournament type of play, or the easiest? Or, you know, what do you do to your games to make your tournaments run smoothly?
For the most part, one of the big things that I work on is making sure that the ball save timers on the modern games are lower. I think right now for tournament play especially, most of our modern games ball save timers are between 2 and 3 seconds.
Okay. So we have weekly tournaments happening up over here and stuff like that.
Yes.
So in the weekly tournaments, what are we going to see? Because we're planning on staying for your tournament this week.
Awesome.
So what are we going to see on a traditional Thursday night tournament? I mean, how many rounds? How are you scoring it? What is your thoughts?
On a traditional night, we actually typically play 7 games, and it is a best game with 1 attempt. So you run just 7 games, and you do the best you can, and at the end, it's scored on the linear scoring. So 199, 98, 97. For the top scores on down, and then your combination of your 6 scores is how you did for the week. And then after that, there is a finals for the top 4 that they'll play an additional 4 games. That is a group match play.
Okay.
Something different from our normal, every week doing the same thing over and over and over. So on a night like tonight, we're actually going to be playing pin golf.
So tonight is a pin golf
Yep.
setting. Okay, good.
Yep.
And so how does that work here?
So we're going to be doing objective-based pin golf, which is a little bit different than the IFPA Pin Masters format, which is score-based off of 5-ball games, and it deals with how many points you score.
Right.
Objective-based is we have everything set at 3 balls, and we will be going for wow.
It's fast, I'll be honest with you. If I went back to the future, I would make it go slower. But
Well, hopefully it gets remade. That's,
No, so it's going to be objective-based.
Objective-based, yes. We will be playing 9 games, and in the 9 games, it will dictate off of how quickly you achieve whatever the objective is. I have the list.
So like on Back to the Future, do you know what the objective is?
The objective tonight on Back to the Future is actually get the back-in-time multi-ball.
Back-in-time multi-ball. And so how do you get the back-in-time multi-ball in Back to the Future?
So the back-in-time multi-ball in Back to the Future, you actually have to knock down the DMC targets,
Okay.
which will light the lock shot here at the vertical up kicker.
Okay.
And then you will lock 3 balls, and it will start.
So I'm excited about how much tournament play is happening here in Wichita. It strikes me as the city is just surprising everywhere I go. There's
Absolutely.
a beautiful river running through the whole area.
Yep.
There seems like there's a heck of an art scene, and it just makes sense that as we keep finding and discovering things that makes up Wichita, that we would find an arcade with this many cool games in it, with this type of forward thinking with its cameras, but also then bump into people who are playing tournaments and now pin golf type of things. That I just find this exciting, and I just can't tell you how much I really appreciate everything you're doing for pinball.
I'm doing my best. Thank you very much.
Sam, thank you so much. So what did we learn today? We learned that what is old is new again. We're in an arcade in a turn-of-the-century building in which we're seeing all these marvelous innovations, these monitors above the pinball machines was just absolutely incredible. And it's just exciting to watch people learn and to play tournaments out here in Wichita, Kansas, which we surely enjoyed our stay very much and are looking forward to playing in some of their local tournaments. So remember, we're so glad you joined us for TiltTrek, but do remember to subscribe, like our YouTube, like our Facebook, and we look forward to seeing you on the next adventure. Thank you very much for tuning in.